Well, hello there. I'm back. And today I'm talking about the Bill of Rights. Before we get started, I have to let you know that I am by no means an expert on the Bill of Rights or the Constitution or anything legal, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. This video is just a combination of the reading and research that I've done. But if you need legal advice, you should talk to a lawyer, not listen to me. Also, I recommend doing your own research to help you form an opinion on the Bill of Rights and, anything really. I'll link all my research material in the description if you need a place to get started. So, what is the Bill of Rights? The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments made to the United States Constitution. These amendments were introduced in order to strengthen the Constitution and to protect individual liberties and limit the government's power. They were added to the Constitution because of concerns that came up during the Constitution's approval process. It was James Madison that primarily authored the Bill of Rights. He was a Virginia congressman. It was written in 1789. It was presented for approval to the Congress on June 8, 1789. After some debates and revisions, it was finalized and approved on September 25, 1789. It was then sent to the states for their approval, which was completed on December 15, 1791. Madison drafted these first 10 amendments because there were a lot of people that were concerned with the Constitution replacing the Articles of Confederation as the supreme law of the land. These people were called anti-federalists. They felt that the new Constitution didn't do enough to protect individual liberties. So James Madison wrote up these amendments to balance a strong federal government that can protect the people from outside threats with the ability to protect individual liberties from the tyranny of the masses. So let's get into it. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of religion, speech, the press, assembly, and petition. It prevents the government from establishing a religion or restricting religious practice, ensuring free expression, and allows citizens to assemble peacefully, and petition the government for redress of grievances, which means that individuals can request the government to correct or remedy wrongs, injustices, or complaints. It ensures that citizens can seek relief for issues like government overreach, unfair laws, or violation of rights without fear of retaliation. It allows the people to address abuses by the authorities. The Second Amendment protects the right to keep and bear arms. It states that a well-regulated militia is necessary for a free state's security, and thus the right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed upon, because you're not much of a militia without any arms. A militia in this context is a group of citizens organized for military service, typically to defend their community, state, or nation. Historically, militias were required to provide their own weapons so that they could be called upon in time of emergency. Militias are seen as a counterbalance to a standing army. So this would reflect the founders' concerns about centralized power. So a well-armed citizenry is a protection for the country as a whole and for individuals. The Third Amendment prohibits the quartering of soldiers in private homes without the owner's consent during peacetime and only with legal authorization during wartime. Quartering is known as housing of military members in your own home, and the Quartering Acts of 1765 and 1774 required you to quarter soldiers whether you wanted to or not. And it's not like it's just an awkward situation having a stranger in your home. You also had to feed them and provide them with supplies. And many times the family was thrown out into the street with nowhere to go while the soldiers stayed in their home. This amendment addressed colonial grievances about British troops being housed in private residences by King George III of England and was a major reason for the American Revolution. The Fourth Amendment safeguards against unreasonable searches and seizures. It requires law enforcement to obtain warrants based on probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and describing the place to be searched and items or persons to be seized. So they have to really have a good reason that they can prove in order to get that warrant from a judge. The Fifth Amendment establishes protections in criminal proceedings, including the right to a grand jury for serious crimes, protection against double jeopardy, which means being tried twice for the same offense, the right against self-incrimination, so you don't have to testify against yourself, and the guarantee of due process. It also prohibits taking private property for public use without just compensation, so eminent domain. The Sixth Amendment ensures rights in criminal prosecutions, including a speedy and public trial, an impartial jury, the right to know the charges, the right to confront witnesses, compel favorable witnesses, and have legal counsel. The Seventh Amendment preserves the right to a jury trial in civil cases involving disputes over $20, a threshold that's now been adjusted for inflation. It also prevents courts from re-examining facts decided by a jury, except as allowed by common law. Now, common law originates from English legal traditions and was brought to the Americas by the colonists. It is judge-made law based on court rulings and customs rather than laws passed by legislatures. The Eighth Amendment prohibits excessive bail, excessive fines, and cruel and unusual punishments, ensuring punishments are proportionate and humane. So the punishment should fit the crime. The Ninth Amendment clarifies that the enumeration of certain rights in the Constitution does not deny or disparage other rights retained by the people, protecting unlisted rights. So just because certain rights are specifically mentioned in the Constitution does not mean that other unlisted rights held by the people are less important or don't exist. This was included to address concerns that listing some rights might imply the exclusion of other rights, protecting inherent rights not explicitly written in the Constitution. The 10th Amendment reserves powers not delegated to the federal government nor prohibited to the states or the people, which reinforces federalism. So this suggests that jurisdiction not assigned to the federal or state government remains with the individual. It's often interpreted as protecting individual rights or local governance. So this could mean that we the people vote on matters not included in the U.S. Constitution, or our elected representatives do. It can look a lot of different ways. It just depends on the situation. So that is the Bill of Rights. If you are curious about the remaining amendments to the Constitution, there's 27 total, but it's the first 10 that are referred to as the Bill of Rights. I would encourage you to do some research, read some books, and look into them. I think it's important for all U.S. citizens to understand their rights and why our forefathers thought they were so important that they worked them into the highest law of the land. If you like this video and you want to see more about our founding documents and the ideas that influence them, I suggest you subscribe if you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye! The Fourth Amendment safeguards against unreasonable search and It requires law enforcement to obtain warrants based on probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation. No. Affirmation?